Note: this is a remake of my previous Teen Titans. I've decided to make this again, but with more details. Anyways, today's review will be the 2003 to 2006 Warner Bros. Animation and DC Comics series, and that is Teen Titans. No wonder anyone remembers watching this masterpiece. It's like turning a comic book story into a fantasy action series. Teen Titans is based primarily on stories by Marv Wolfman and George Perez from the 1980s, featuring characters, storylines, and concepts introduced during the run, and incorporating a similar group of members. Teen Titans was originally aired on Cartoon Network, Kids WB, a cartoon programming block on the WB and the CW, Boomerang, and currently streaming on HBO Max, Hulu, its beta on Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime Video. The series follows the Teen Titans, a teenage superhero team consisting of Batman's former sidekick Robin, Pomeranian Princess Starfire, half-man/half-machine cyborg, the shape-shifting Beast Boy, and the mysterious Raven. Together they fight crime and evil, and when they're not doing that, they do standard teenager stuff like playing video games and hanging out in Titan's Tower. Over the course of the series they encounter many enemies and villains, while also come across many young heroes who become honorary Titans. The writing for this show is pretty solid as it does capture the spirit and tone of the original comics while also being its own, unique thing. Also, while this series is more comedic than the shows of the DC animated universe, just like those shows, it does manage to make room for some solid drama and intriguing story arcs. And on top of that, the action is pretty solid and fun while also getting pretty intense when they need to be, and the tone is pretty well balanced as while it is more lighthearted, it still makes room for some pretty heavy and dark stuff. Also, it is pretty neat that each season revolves around a specific Titan. Also, unlike every other superhero series, the heroes maintain their superhero identities all the time, and never go by their regular identities. However, the series cancellation left a lot of things unresolved, such as the true identity of Red X, who was responsible for the toxin in Slade's mask, and how Tara was revived. Not to mention it ended off on a cliffhanger. Also, unlike the other Titans, Starfire didn't have a season focused on her. Thanks to the writing, it does result in plenty of solid episodes, whether they're more serious or more comedic, such as Final Exam, Sisters, The Sum of His Parts, Nevermore, Masks, Car Trouble, Apprentice, How Long Is Forever, Tara, Fear Itself, Titan Rising, Betrayal, Fractured, Deception, X, Haunted, Spellbound, The Beast Within, Titans East, Don't Touch That Dial, The Quest, Birthmark, Drock, The Prophecy, Stranded, The End, Homecoming, Trust, Snowblind, Lightspeed, Go, Calling All Titans, Titans Together, and Things Change. But there are also some pretty weak episodes such as Every Dog Has His Day, Fractured, Employee of the Month, and Revved Up. The action scenes are definitely more on the fun side compared to other DC animated universe shows, and while some of them are more fun, like facing off against villains like Mumbo, Control Freak, or Gizmo, or just dealing with random thugs, there are also plenty that can get pretty intense, like fighting villains like Slade, Trigon, or the Brotherhood, and getting out of tight spots. The series is definitely one of the more comedic DC animated universe shows, but thankfully the humor is very well handled and does lead to some pretty funny moments, like the witty and snarky banter between the characters, some of the over-the-top faces, some of the gags and slapstick, some of the more wacky situations the Titans get into, and the occasional adult joke. While the series is more fun and humorous compared to other DC animated universe shows, there's still plenty of strong and intriguing drama and heart, which does lead to some pretty gut-punching and tender moments, such as certain characters' betrayals and sacrifices and the Titans reeling from them, the relationships between the Titans and how they grow as the series progresses, and the more serious turmoils they go through. The animation is incredibly well crafted, as it has a pretty solid anime-inspired style, which does give it a unique look compared to the other DC animated universe shows. The characters all have very solid designs and decently fluid movements. The backgrounds are pretty well crafted and do have some nice details, and there are some pretty solid effects. The characters are all pretty solid, as they can be very likable thanks to their chemistry, dynamics, and development. The Titans themselves are all very solid and likable protagonists, as not only do they have some great chemistry and dynamics, but they also manage to get some great character development, such as the stern and determined Robin, the dark and gothic but kind-hearted Raven, the goofy and energetic Beast Boy, the wide-eyed and curious Starfire, and the tough but friendly Cyborg. While the series does mainly just focus on the Titans, there are some solid supporting characters that they meet throughout the series that do help them out and play very important roles, such as the conflicted Terra, the Sea Protector Aquilid, the shrinking Bumblebee, the highly skilled Speedy, the super-fast Kid Flash, the heroic Doom Patrol, and more. The villains that the Titans face can range from pretty goofy like Mumbo, Control Freak, Mad Mod, and Dr. Light, but many of them are very formidable and do pose a legit threat, like Slade, Trigon, the Brotherhood of Evil, Brother Blood, Blackfire, Red X, the HIV, Terra during her time as a villain, and more. The voice acting is very well done, and does result in some solid performances from the cast, such as Scott Menville as Robin and Red X, Carrie Payton as Cyborg, Hynden Walsh as Starfire and Blackfire, Tara Strong as Raven, Greg Cipes as Beast Boy, Ron Perlman as Slade, Ashley Johnson as Terra, John DiMaggio as Brother Blood, Kevin Michael Richardson as Trigon, and many, many more. The music is also pretty solidly composed, and it really does capture the show's comedic, dramatic, and action-packed tone. Also, the theme song by Puffy Amiyumi is very well done. Unlike most other superhero television series, the Teen Titans characters maintain their superhero identities at all times, with any hints at the concept of an alter ego or secret identity rarely explored. The policy of not mentioning the main character's secret identities has been broken for all but Raven. The series was first greenlit in late September 2002, with Japanese-American animator Glen Murakami signed on. The series' creation was inspired by the success of Justice League, based on DC Comics characters. However, as opposed to Justice League and other DC animated television series, the intention behind Teen Titans was to create the series for a younger audience. Series producer and animator Glen Murakami noted that the series is lighter and has humor while staying true to the intent of the characters. Murakami also noted that the process of transforming material from the comics into material suitable for the target audience was similar to what was done with both Batman, the animated series, and Batman Beyond. We kind of have to take into consideration that we're not making this cartoon just for fans of the comic book, the ones who know all the backstory and know all the continuity. We have to tell the Starfire story in half an hour. I think we took all those things into consideration, but there's just some things you can't do for children's programming. The series mixes American-style animation with Japanese anime. According to Glen Murakami, the incorporating of anime came naturally, noting that he and Bruce Timm were anime fans and the increased presence of anime at the time. In mid-November 2005, TitansTower.com reported that prospects for a sixth season were looking extremely unlikely, and fans were urged to express their support for the show to Cartoon Network. Several days after this initial posting, word came that Cartoon Network had officially terminated the show. According to Will Wheaton, the actor who provided the voice of Aquilid, the series was terminated by new Warner Brothers feature animation executives who made the decision not to renew the series based on its sixth season pitch. Whedon's story was contradicted by series story editor Rob Hoji, who stated that the decision came from Cartoon Network, not Warner Brothers, and that the crew was informed during the writing phase of Season 5, that there are no plans for a sixth season. The show's producer David Slack indicated that he was given different reasons for the show's cancellation: either the ratings dropped after Scary Season 4 or Mattel wanted the show dead because Bandai had the show's toy deal. Cartoon Network announced that Mattel had become its master toy licensee in 2006. Speaking about its movie, this show has a direct-to-video movie from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, Warner Brothers Family Entertainment, Warner Brothers Animation, and DC Comics, Teen Titans, Trouble in Tokyo in 2006, that also aired on Cartoon Network, and Kids WB, a cartoon programming block on the WB and the CW. And what is my verdict on this DC Animated Universe series? I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. This is a very well made series, and I can definitely see why it's so beloved by not just fans of DC, but animation fans in general.